What's happening, Andy? Here I'm joined today by Mike Hannon of FP Mailing Solutions. How are you, Mike?
Doing all right, Andy. Thanks a lot for having me on.
Well, it is a pleasure to see you again. Just saw you very recently. We were out in Las Vegas at the FP Mailing. Was it a summit, convention? You guys had your big annual kickoff. It was the first time we came to it. Thank you for inviting us. Um,
No,
Great
good to
event.
have you.
Great event.
Thank you. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. I mean, it's a big event for us to do every year. I mean, it's a big event undertaking just to kick it off and do it every year, but it's our opportunity to get our dealer networks together with our partners, our vendors, and our employees, where we kind of get everyone that we can together,
Yeah.
in a location and a venue that everybody is pleased with. So it's not always, Chicago or New York in February. So, yeah.
Well, it was Vegas in February, and it was it was actually raining, which you would think I it's not the first time I've actually been to Vegas in the rain, but it's just funny because you think you're going to the desert, and we got rained on. It was a great event. Let's back up a little bit and just I think your name is pretty self-explanatory, but tell us who is FP Mailing? Who's FP Mailing
All
Solutions?
right. So, yep, it said the name Michael Hannon. So I'm the managing director for North America for FP, and FP is one of the primarily postage meter manufacturers in the U.S. Right. So there's one of four of us. Three of the big known competitors. The fourth is a little bit more of a niche market, but we are a mailing machine manufacturer. So we do postage meters, inserters, printers, addressing systems, the software to do the data cleanse, the address cleansing, and then on the more digital side, we also have parcel lockers, the asset tracking software, and bringing to market in the U.S. soon a digital signature product. So we kind of go everywhere that the mail goes. So follow the envelope. We just don't do the print itself. So
Well, and that's why it's such a good partnership, I think, with this channel, with this dealer channel, because where you end, these guys can begin, especially if they're, in that production print on demand
yep,
environment. And a lot of these guys are with the vendors like Konica Minolta and Canon and Xerox and HP and every one of them that they Sharp and all of them really Ricoh. They all
well,
play in that space.
if it's being printed, it's got to go somewhere, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
more often than not, it's probably going to end up in an envelope and needing to get out of their building or their customer's building to get to someone else. So
Well,
that
it
that
it was
is
a cool
exactly where we
meeting.
come in.
It was a really cool meeting because I didn't know that much about you guys. I mean, I've worked with you for about a year now. I know, you do mailing solutions. I know your portfolio pretty well at this point. But to see the channel, to see the company all there in one place, big presence. I was surprised how many people you guys had there. You were at Caesars. It was at a really nice hotel, and it wasn't just our channel. You kind of hinted at it a second ago, but you guys have. It seems like there were two channels there, right? You have your traditional, what I would say, your traditional copier resellers, and then you have
Yep.
the other guys, the true mailing solutions providers.
Yes. Yep. So the mailing only, right, as everybody talks, they start looking doing other things, but mail has been a good provider for us for just over 100 years. As last year or 23 was our 100th year for us. So we've been around for quite some time.
Now, and
And
it's
we've seen
contracts
the,
with
the
the.
ebbs and flows of the market in the industry, right? So everyone got a little tepid around COVID, but from what we've seen, especially, and I've heard it on the print side too, our postage volumes, our imprints of what we see run through are higher than they were in 19, and
Well,
they
and
are
that's kind of that's
outpacing the rate increases. So it's
it,
people are
it's
mailing
really
again.
interesting to me the way you guys work with directly with the post office. So like a couple of your articles that were some of our bigger articles of the year were actually, ironically, they were articles you did on postage increases or potential increases. And it was surprising to me how much those articles hit, first of all, in our world. But I think we got some outside interest as well because that's something that, our resellers are very keen on watching. Obviously, they need to watch shipping costs, but then, if you're reselling that there's a lot of impact on your on your margins. If you're going to increase, you've got to pass that along. But you would talk to me at the conference, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So you work directly with the post office. You've got I don't know how does
So
that work? How do you
we're
interact? How do you work with them? How does that happen?
so we the difference on the postage meter side, right, is it's considered a currency printer. So that envelope, that indication, once you make that little red stamp and it comes out, that is considered live currency. So we do have the regulation on that side, where of course that's a lot of money and a lot of spend going through. But we are effectively a pass through for the post office, right? So when you bring an end user to us to get set up, to get them an account, you're selling them the device, you're doing everything, we create the account for them with the post office, and we do all the link on the back end. So when they put the money to deposit through to print that indication or run that meter, they are running it through us, but running it, we have that direct tie to the post office. So we're the ones that have the compliance standpoint, what we got to get back to the post office for where's the equipment and how much are they using it. And that's pretty much the main tie back into the post office, because well, they too need to make sure that they're getting what they expect to get. So, but that
And
is where we are regulated, because it is a currency printer.
and so, and that goes right along with a lot of the other products that you have with the inserters and the folders and the software and just, I mean, you're a full house. And so the companies in our world, I mean, these are, I was looking, I remember the logo slide that you had at the beginning, and there were good logos on there. You had Dex, you had Visual Edge, you had Loeffler and UTech, and just a lot of names that just everybody knows, right? Novatech was on your panel, uh, and so these are big copier companies that are still doing mailing. Is mailing? Is mailing going anywhere? Is mailing a dying industry? Like we're all in this print, this very gradual decline of print. But tell me, you did mention mailing. Some of what you said seems like it might be going up or increasing. The numbers you referenced were up
So
since COVID. So
it's
where's
interesting,
that
right?
going? Yeah.
The way we look at the market and everything. So I started at FP in 2007 in inside sales, and when I started, there were about a million four, million five postage meters, physical devices in the U.S. market. And at that same time, there were probably, let's say, about five, 600,000 PC postage users. So kind of like your stamps.com, where they don't actually have a physical device. As we've looked at the market change, probably the best we have and get from the post office, probably close to 900,000 devices still in the market since 2007. So 18 years, that shifted, that's declined. But that PC postage and that parcel shipping user have gone from that 600,000 to about 4.7 million. The device changed. The customer didn't go anywhere.
The
You
volume went
actually
up.
have more people, especially when COVID hit and you had these at home shops and Etsy and this, that, the other. People took small devices home. They wanted to mail from home. They wanted to do the shipping from home. There has actually been more volume run through on the shipping side. While the first class letter, that traditional envelope, might be declining some, the USPS is the only one that's doing that. FedEx, UPS, no one else can get in that competitive space. So that will stay with the USPS. And there are some verticals, and I think they're verticals that we all predominantly end up in: healthcare, legal, medical, CPA, accounting, that those verticals and that hard mail, that hard letter is not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. Right. And those are the verticals where we've seen things pick up in frequency. And now you have these secondary markets where it's these at home shops and these other smaller shops that are now mailing that weren't before. So you see one level, you see the decline, but it's almost let's call it a model mix, right, of where it's going and where it is. Shipping and sending is not going away. Shipping itself, the package side of it, has been bigger than it's ever been. Right. So it's that blend, it's that different look.
Well, it's certainly an opportunity, and it really kind of got on my radar last year when I was I mentioned to you a panel at BTA, and we were talking about acquisitions, and Rich from Edge in Atlanta, mentioned an acquisition that they had, and they had picked up a mailing company and it took off. I mean, they had already, there were healthy numbers with the company, but he brought that mentality back to the rest of Edge. And that has been a really profitable program. And for companies looking for, what else can I do that kind of fits in with my current setup? You mentioned it to me at another time, but it's kind of all the components of a traditional copier dealer, right?
It is. It is. It's probably the closest secondary product that would be as close to the copier sale as it is, because it's still a device, a hardware device being sold, right? You're setting up your maintenance, you get your recurring revenue from your consumables. There
Yep.
is one additional component from us with the meter rentals, the PSD, that federal piece, that is one more signature on a sheet of paper, but it is one more revenue line for you, because then it is another component that comes in off of there. But it's almost easier when I've seen, like with Rich, some of these other companies where they copiers have bought
He's,
a
by the way,
mailing
he's one of
company and
yours,
they've
right? He
integrated.
he is.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Good to know.
And it was one of mine he bought. So, and then he became one of mine. Right. But it's that when you go in, everyone's fighting over the copier. The copier is the big item that everyone sees in there, but there are so many other manufacturers and vendors and so many other pushing it and pushing multiple, that mailing's a little bit different. Mailing is kind of your backdoor way in, because not everybody's leading with the mailing equipment. Not everybody's pushing with the postage meter right off the bat. And there's so few of us. And on our side, I don't necessarily have a direct channel. I don't have a direct force. So we utilize the dealer network to go out to be our sales arm. So you are not going to overstep with me or one of your other competitors going in offering the same thing necessarily, because the opportunities there are bigger, but those competing against them, well, there's far less of us, right? So you're not going to have FP competing with you for the postage meter locally while you're trying to get in and sell that to your end user, and then go in to convert everything else in their office over to you as a single source. That we kind of compartment and work with the dealers to be that companion that way, to be that partner, to make sure that we are helping and not necessarily in the other's way.
Well, and I have to give you credit because I think, out of those three or four companies in that space, you're the only one I see come into these events. You're the only one I see come into the BTA events, come into, some of the other the major conferences from the OEMs. And so to me, I think you guys understand the dealers a little bit better. You just, we're not, this isn't a normal reseller channel by any stretch. It's, their relationship sales as much as anything. They're,
Exactly.
generational companies that go back three, four, even five generations at times. Some of them are even older, than FP, older than 100 years. Believe it or not.
Yep.
And they didn't sell copiers before, but they're still here. And so it's a unique channel. And so you mentioned you brought your CEO over from Germany to that conference. What did he think? It was the first time you had one of your senior executives come over, you said.
And to be honest, right off the bat, a little tepid, unsure, because the markets from the U.S. to Europe can be a little bit different.
Very,
So having
very.
him be over, and he had just started with us a little less than a year ago, right? So him kind of coming on and coming over, it was like, all right, one of your first events, you're going to meet as many of the dealers as we can
You
all
made
at once.
100
So that's going to
people.
be a flood of
What's that?
information and people all at once. And no, it went great. Love the event, the way it was structured, the way we do, because not really seeing that the European market's a little bit more fragmented and not as dealer heavy as ours is, right? So to have so many other people in and so many other components, and just like you said, us attending the BTA, same reason we have other vendors and other sponsors come in with us, because we attend those shows because it's important for us to know what's going on for the dealers outside of us. We're
Yeah.
not going to be the main line, right? But I need to know what else everyone's going through to make sure that we're complementing and not necessarily infringing, right? So to make sure I know what's going on the copier side, what's going on at BTA, what's going on at these other shows, to know, oh, okay, maybe we need to look at something a little bit different just to stay ahead of what else is going on in the market. Because again, being so close to the sale and being so close to the same product, one impact on one side will likely impact the other.
Well, and I could see the crossover. Like you kind of set this up. It almost reminded me in a way of like a mini BTA because you had like a vendor area, the way BTA often has a pretty nice big vendor area. You had nice. It was smaller, but like you had a bunch of vendors, and a lot of them are very recognizable in our space. You had Sales Chain, you had Great America, you had High Tech, you had a bunch of others. I believe that are regulars on our list
Yep,
that you
Paper
would see.
Dealer, DX1, yep,
Yep, all those guys were there. Yeah, Gavin and those guys were there, Johanna and um yeah, so it was good to see a lot of familiar faces there, but what I really kind of took away from it what I really enjoyed, honestly, was you had a machine, the new machine. I can't remember the model number, but you had launched it, Paul. I think it was it Paul. One of your guys launched it on stage right before one of the breaks, and then it was out there, and just the way
Yep.
everybody that was bent over and poking at stuff and pulling at things, and it's just like it was old school like copiers when they would roll out a new copier. Like nobody cares anymore when a
Well,
new
right.
model
If you're gonna
comes
if you're
out.
gonna launch it, you got to put the device there to let them play with it, right? I mean, there was no other way to go, Andy. It had to be there.
But it was
So, yep.
great. They loved it. They were all
The
over
new
it.
mail machine, the new inserter. No, we're both right on the floor. Right after we got
Yep.
done announcing it, I did the one, Mo did the other one, and yes, we hit the break. And the break, while everyone was on main stage, no, the rest of my team was out there dragging it out from the other room where it was hidden, so nobody knew exactly what it was ahead of time, and getting it all set up to be right on the spot. So when that break hit, yep, everyone had access to it.
And they were all over it. They were all over it. It
Yep.
was just so it was so refreshing because it's been a long time since I saw, people go running up to a device like that. It happens now and then, but not a lot. And so you
You
guys
want to see
you
it, you want to touch, you want to play with it, you want to see if you could break
you
it, right?
got
I
people
mean,
excited.
everything, right, exactly what it was, right up front. No, and all good because
You
that's
got
why I
people
bring them there.
excited for some hardware, and I thought that was refreshing. It was nice to see, and I think it beckons back to the original point that there's a lot of money to be made in this, and there's not a lot of vendors. I'll say it, you don't have to. The vendors that are in there, let's just say it nicely. I think there's probably a lot of opportunity with end users for a change. I remember back in my day, you know, nobody liked some of the vendors. Let's just say nobody liked some of these other vendors. And
Oh,
and
and sometimes over the years, let's say opinions don't change, right? So
yeah, yeah. Well, and so
we
here
are
we've got this program. It's built for copier dealers. There's a lot of really great dealers that are still in this. But I think as dealers are looking at what else can I bring to the table, this you mentioned it fits right in with what they do. It's break fix. It's got supply margins.
yep.
It's got service revenue. It's recurring revenue. It's exactly what you want. You've already got the trucks. It's it's break fix. It's just another piece of hardware on your part of your MIF really is what it becomes, and it prints money,
It is indeed,
honestly.
truly, and the wide range of some of the products. I mean, to be fair, some of the postage meters, yeah, it's the small one might be a few $1,000 sale on it, and then you can move up to you know, the larger mail machine where 25, 30 grand is not out of the realm of possible. And then some of the inserters plus get six figures up. And on most of the hardware, you're probably looking from a dealer side at a healthy margin that is probably a little better than the print side.
And on top of all this, every customer, if there's a storefront, if there's a building, they've got shipping. They have to send stuff and receive things, right? I mean,
Yep.
like even if it's just the Amazon stuff and they're printing labels, there are things that you can come in and talk to them about. And it comes from you
They
guys.
can pick
That's
up
what
the
the
shipping
one thing that really,
system. They can pick up a small meter. Yep. The
yeah,
labeler, the printer, the tracking software, whatever. Yep.
yeah. And
So you
well, the
don't have to
software was
lead
the
with
interesting thing to me.
the copier, but you can make your way there.
Yeah, software I thought was really interesting because now you're just able to walk in and say, look, how are you getting your stuff done? Do you want it? Isn't one invoice nice? Do you like the system you're using now? That's probably the easiest way to start that conversation. And, the answer is probably quite often no. Nobody likes their shipping
No,
setup.
and it really helps to go in truly with the mail volume, because if you go in and start asking questions on the mail volume, it helps you branch out immediately right away, right? Because all right, how many pieces do you send a month? 1,000, 2,000. Okay, where are you sending them? How are you doing? What are they? And now you start to learn, is it a package? Is it a letter? Is it an envelope? So which way you have to take them, but it's not always forward. Go backwards. It's how do you make your mail? How are you getting it to that envelope? So now you can go backwards and touch. All right, you're going to have somebody manually inserting and folding it. No, that's probably not it. So now you've got another piece of hardware you could put on. How are you printing it? Where are you getting to? Now you can make the leap back to the copier and the printer. You can make the link back to the network systems or their PCs if somebody else offers that. If not, as you're going back downstream when you go to mail, do you keep your addresses clean? Do you need to go and go through the address verification? Do you need to do the outside? So it can touch so many points, both forward and backward from that mail stream. You just literally need to follow the mail, follow the envelope, right?
Yep.
forward or backward, you'll know where it is. And some customers, they need to track when it comes inbound. Great. We do the asset tracking too, the inbound asset management and the lockers. So take it full circle. You can
Those were
touch it
cool,
one
by the
side to
way.
the other.
You had one sitting there. It was very, I don't know, kind of looked space agey to me. It was well
Our
worth
little demo
it.
locker. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? The other ones are too big, Andy. I'm sorry. That's just too big and too much to ship everywhere. So no, we take the little demo one out. That's the easier way to go.
I love that. That was very cool looking. It was a really fun event. It was informative. It was a couple of days long. It flew. I mean, you had a bunch of sessions. The breakout sessions were really good. Great America ran a couple of those, if I remember correctly. You had DX1 and then Buckley did another one, and then you did some afternoon ones that other day. They were good, right? It was just quick
Well, it
and
tries
here's
to
the
be a
new
mix of,
product.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Here's
Technical training, some of the
yep.
product training, maybe, but then also,
Here's our
why
numbers.
we
Here's
have
our
the
products.
other sponsor.
Here's
Yep.
what, yep, here's what's coming this year. And so we're getting up on time, but before I let you go, I do want to find out, where are we going to see you guys this year? I'm going to guess BTA, anywhere else. It is BTA you're
We'll
going to.
be
That'll
at the
probably be the next
BTA.
one.
Well, those that are going to National Postal Forum, that one we kind of have to be at, and that's going to be in Nashville, early April, I believe.
Cool.
I'm sure I'm
Very
going to get
nice
killed
time
for
to be
not having the
in
dates right on
Nashville.
my side, but that's just a hey, you remember? Oh yeah, 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 yeah. So no, and that's kind of the bigger show to show off everything on our side where we touch into the post office and all those other vendors there. But no, any other the bigger dealer shows, any of the other OEMs that want us out, anybody that we need to go by, definitely we show we're there because again, it's the partnership, right? So we want to be as informed and help to make sure that we're got the right offering out in front of us, not just from a product standpoint, but as a company, right? To make sure that the service is there because that would be the sales side. So we got to offer the service side. So
Yep.
that's where
Well,
we're at.
it is a great opportunity. The dealers I know that are working with you seem to like you guys a lot. It was a great show. I appreciate you including
Yep.
us in that and having
Thank
us be part of that. I look forward to seeing you guys at some of these events
you. No,
coming
and
up.
we are. Any questions from that too? We're part of the consortium, and well, while we just missed ECS, we'll of course be at that again next year too. So no,
Yeah.
any and everywhere we can.
Yep.
Questions we have, anything comes up, we're there.
Well, you guys have always, always been very active, and it's been great working with you for the last year. So thanks for coming on and kind of giving us this update. This was awesome and appreciated. And I think maybe we set up a follow-up one of these maybe down the road and talk about, maybe some of the verticals that you guys are really strong in and dig into maybe a couple of those presentations that you guys were giving. I had some questions, but we only have 20 minutes
Oh,
on this
that
one.
sounds
So
great. No, no,
yeah, this
no,
was great.
definitely.
Great.
Get that set up.
Awesome. Well, good seeing you, Mike, and we will catch up soon. Take care. Say happy to be back at FP.
Definitely. Thank you, Andy.
Thanks.